Well, hi folks, getting on to the end of August now, so I'll just give you a quick tour around the greenhouse and plot and all sorts of things, show you what's been going on. So start off with the greenhouse. Tomatoes are doing really well, absolutely hanging with fruit now, and it's all starting to ripen up. These are just a variety called Tumbler, dead reliable, just in a small pot. I think that's a 7.5 litre pot. They do take a fair old bit of water in, and the water tends to pour through the bottoms, but no, very productive, as you can see, just bunches and bunches of fruit. So this is another one, but this is a yellow variety, same thing, lovely taste, something different. And then another one there, they seem a little bit bigger. They're actually in a pot that's got a reservoir in it, so it's got a reservoir. It doesn't drain unless it gets to that height, so that's been sort of had moisture compost in it, so whether that's the reason why it's got bigger fruit, I don't know. But anyway, that's the tomatoes. I'm really pleased with this chilli. It's not a super hot chilli at all, but it's producing some whopping fruits, look, all the way up, loads and loads of them. It's quite a big plant, considering it was only sowed late, quite late this time. So not tried it yet. I'll give them a try, see how hot they are, but like I said, they're not supposed to be hot, which is good. These are these snack peppers. I don't think I'll bother with these again. As you can see, the plant's really small, and that's as big as the little peppers get. They're just a little mouthful, really, a bite. Lovely taste, but not really worth it, considering, you know, it takes as long to grow one of those as it does something that produces a lot. Peppers are, got plenty of peppers on now, starting to swell a bit. I think I've left too many on this. There's about 10 on that one, but these will all start to swell up a bit later on, so not too bad. Cucumber, finally got some cucumbers on. These are the little ones called Burpless Tasty Green, so that's as big as they get, but they're just about right for one sort of setting, really, one sitting. So you're not getting with a great big load of cucumbers that are 2 foot long and just leaving them in the fridge. And you can see they just keep producing them. I've just trained it across a little bit of bamboo there. And then we've got another tomato here, a cordon one. I've taken a few off this. This is the one called Sun Gold that I've never grown, but people rave about it. Sort of orangey or gold coloured tomatoes, I would imagine, which are dead tangy. Oh, I'll just go out of here. So that's the greenhouse, stroke polytunnel. I'll just show you something else out here. If you look outside, it's a right mess in it, because this is a bit of derelict land that I just put my polytunnel up. And it's just full of brambles, but I've never seen as many fruit on brambles in my life. I've been picking them for ages, and it's just absolutely heaving. I'll go over here, look, it's just a big spiky mess everywhere. But look at the state of them, it's just absolutely teeming with them everywhere. So like I said, we've been getting bowls and bowls of them, and I absolutely love them. Birds haven't taken any, so look, they're just everywhere. So that's one benefit of leaving stuff just to go feral like this, or fallow, sorry. So anyway, that's the wild bit of garden. I'll just nip up to the plot, show you what's been going on up there. Alright folks, here we are up at the plot again. Lovely evening, nice and warm again. So I'll just show you what's been going on and the state of things. Start off in this bit. The old Leeks doing really well. Quite surprised how well they've done so far. Getting to be a nice thickness as well. So I mean, some of these are ready to take now. And like I said, because I plant them so closely together, they do tend to be small, but you get so many of them. So looking good. But having on closer inspection, I have noticed now, if you look at the leaf, it's started to get rust, which has obviously come from the garlic, even though they're nowhere near each other. But leeks and garlic, you do get the same rust, but I don't think it'll have any detriment to them really, because like I said, they're big enough now, and then all over winter when it slows down, fungal growth and things like that just slow down with them, so probably be all right. So not looking too bad, decent enough so far. The old shrubbery starting to thicken out a bit, even after just a few months. I think everything's taken well. It's all been through the drought, and everything survived so far, so looking pretty good. Should be all right next year when it all starts to grow. Cabbages, some of these I've taken a few. Some of them have started to sort of go to seed, if you will, but because the greyhound, you can actually eat all these leaves like this. They're not tough. I'll show you how tender they are. Look, you can eat those like spring greens, like spring cabbage, and they've got a lovely taste to them. And if you can see that one there, that one's got a nice heart on it. So even though they've sort of drawn up a bit, some of them have still got big hearts, and like I said, you can still eat all the leaves because they're quite tender. So I've got a few bits and bobs going. This rhubarb seems to have got its second wind, seems to be coming back. So I might take a few more pieces of that. Finally found a bit of a use for the hobbit house. Put some of my onions in just to dry out. These were some of the normal ones. I'll show you the size we've got this year. I mean, look at that, ridiculous, way too big for me. These are the later variety of the onions that have grown outside. That's about the average size. Still too big. I prefer them like this size, like the little ones that grew really close together. Far more likely to store, much better than great big clonking things like that must weigh nearly a pound. So I think I would plant my onions a lot closer than normal next year. So we'll just have a look into this bit. Flowers are just about going over now. There's a few of the perennials still hanging on, so they should all come back next year. Had a really good crop of sweet peas this year, but I think they're just about finishing. So, but not too bad. Not too bad. Forgot to take down my umbrella, and we got a big wind and it's bent it in half, look. So anyway, never mind, I'll have to take that down. So it must have been a good old wind to snap a pole in half like that. So into the greenhouse, sorry, polytunnel. The cobra beans have finished now. Had a really good crop. I think I got about 28 pound altogether, and we've frozen most of those now, and I'm just using this now for me onion storage. Again, these are the big ones that came out of the main bed. Again, they're just too big. They won't store very well being that size, but I mean, what else can you do to make them smaller? I didn't feed them that much. And these are the little ones, which are the ones that I planted dead close, you see. So far better for me to get a smaller onion, more smaller onions than fewer big ones. But there you go. Courgette still ploughing on in there, as is the cucumber. So hang on, we'll just try and make my way out of here. I've had a lot of problems with the pheasants lately, so that's why I've had to net everything up again. I planted some lettuces out and they ate every single one of them overnight, and if you can see how much they've pecked these little gems. But since I've put the netting on and the mesh, they haven't done so bad, and they haven't come back. Spring onions again, going ballistic. This is the second batch. The first batch were over there, and I planted my third batch now in amongst, well, where the first lot were. So they'll grow pretty slowly, but we should have some spring onions all through autumn and winter, I think, with those. A few more lettuces. I'll pull one of these potatoes up last thing so we can see what we've got. They've all died back now, the first earlies. The Sarpo Blue Danubes are still powering on. So these are the sunflowers this year. They were like these little tiny multi-headed ones. Like I said, not big at all, but quite pleasant colours on them. These are the ones in the pots. They probably need a good watering. But yeah, a bit different, like that's a nicer colour. Very small, but lots of heads on. It attracts the bees. And they've just been grown in some old pots of soil I had, really, nothing special at all. And I planted some, if I can get around, in the soil. It just goes to show you the difference, how much nutrients they get when they're in the soil. Those are about 10 foot tall. Like that one, it's towering above my polytunnel frame. So yeah, it's been interesting, nice bit of colour, bit of difference than just growing a big giant one. So this is the fourth lot of lettuce, believe it or not. I've had to grow these in this cage, like I said, because of the pesky little pheasants, but should be all right. I might even sow a fifth lot and then plant those in the polytunnel for over winter until it gets frosty. So you might as well just keep growing stuff. If it dies, it dies. If it doesn't, it'll be getting Indian summer. Then we'll continue to get some crops into the winter. Right, onto the main bit now. All been emptied now. This is where the garlic, shallots and onions were. I'm talking to the pheasants. I don't know whether you'll be able to make it out. If you can see all these little hollows here and feathers and all sorts, it's where the pheasants have been having dust baths to get rid of the mites and ticks and fleas and God knows what. But I don't mind it on empty ground, but they were doing it in amongst all my seedlings. It's everywhere, look, they've been everywhere. Had a right good scrape around there, but nothing's been harmed, so it's not too bad. More courgettes outside. Thank God for courgette soup, because it's quite pleasant actually. Courgette and chilli now. We've added some chilies to it, which gives it a bit more oomph. So that's about it really at the moment. I'll just empty one of these spuds out, spuds in the pots, and we'll see what we've got. Right then folks, we'll finish off with a container of potatoes. Right. Still growing, and these are still the early potatoes, so they would get bigger and even bigger. Just chop all these tops off, and then we'll see what we've got. I found my scales now, so I can give it away. I don't mean give it away, I mean give it away as you weigh them. So let's see what we've got. Again, I'm just going to empty it out on there. We'll sweep it up after. Right, the moment of truth. There's a big lump there. There's a lump at the bottom, so that's promising. Gee whiz, that is humongous. Ha dear. Look at the size of that for a new potato. Still decent, really good condition. Right, let's rip into these and see the craziness. Oh my. Have you ever seen anything like that? Have you ever seen anything like that? I mean, they're way too big for new potatoes, but they can be cut. I can tell you now folks, this is going to be a record for me for new potatoes out of one pot, because they're absolutely huge. Right, one seed potato. Let's turn her over. See what we've got. I think my record up to date is I think it was just over £8. So let's go. Now I've got my scales, I can weigh these. Oh dear, this is just getting ridiculous. We've got a mushy one there, that's obviously the seed potato. Get rid of that one. But again, no scab whatsoever, so that means I've kept them nicely moist, even throughout the heat wave, because it's keeping the potato compost too dry that causes potato scab. So if you keep them nice and moist, then you shouldn't get it, no matter how hot the weather is. But it is quite hard to keep on top of. They need a good sort of watering can a day in really hot weather. Oh dear. Right, let's have a look. So I've got £8.5 to beat, or £8. Oh, there's more, there's more. I'll just go through the rest of these, don't want to miss any. Now, if it had grown Southpole Miras this year, I bet I could have got £15 out of a pot, because I think I've had 12 before, but this year seems to be a cracking year, and this compost seems to be cracking compost. This is the Wicks stuff, which is just full of wood fibre, and John Innes. I think that John Innes, which is a loam based compost, really helps with the nutrients, because everything I've grown in it's been good. Even though the compost looks pretty rubbish, not what it looks like, it's how it grows, isn't it, really? Right, I think we've got them all now. We'll get them weighed. So £8.5 to beat. I think we've beaten that. I definitely think we've beaten that. which is absolutely remarkable for, again, I think it's 3 seed potatoes, even though I only keep finding 2 seed potatoes. But anyway, even 3 seed potatoes, you're getting over £3 per seed potato. And what I'm going to do this year, folks, I'm going to try and preserve some of these for myself for seed potatoes. I've been looking how to do it, and I think it's just a matter of keeping them dry, very cold, but not frozen. Basically, just keeping them dormant until around about Christmas, and then you can start to chit them. Because they are an expense to buy your seed potatoes. They are, you know, they're stupidly expensive considering what they are. So I thought if I can do that, then that cuts down on the expenses. Right then. Moment of truth, that's definitely a £10 of that. Got my scales, set it to pounds, and let's have a look. Oh God, that is heavy. Oh, not much. There you go. 10.23 pound. So I've grown £10 of spuds, new potatoes, in a single 30 litre pot for the first time ever, and that is a right result, I'll tell you that, folks. So anyway, folks, that's about it. Just a little roundup. Absolutely amazed with the potatoes again. See you later.